Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bada Show. I am one of your hosts, Dave, here in the top square, and down below me is my pal, partner in crime, Chris. Chris, what's crack-a-lackin'? What's cooking with you, big boy?
Hey, how you doing? It's earlier in the day than usual, which is a good thing,
Yes.
eh? Um, but still feels like it's been a day.
Oh,
We've had our car issues are still they're I think they're about done now, but it took a week, so fingers crossed we're good to go. We swapped cars out, so hers is home now, mine's in the shop, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that my standard service is just that,
mhm.
and they don't discover that the car has the swine flu or whatever,
The Ebola.
and we'll be good to go from there. Yeah,
Right on.
it's got the E. coli.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yesterday was my birthday. I'm still alive.
Yay!
Yeah.
You
All
made it.
right. Yeah, dude. Birthdays are always a fun time, hopefully for everybody. I know it was for me. I got some good family
Mhm.
time in, which was super enjoyable. I went to a lovely pool to which I bombarded you with many, many texts to kind of
Mhm. Mhm.
show you, the habitat that I was hanging out in. Had
Where
my
was that?
That was actually at a friend's apartment complex.
Oh,
So
yeah,
very
it looked nice.
fancy, fancy schmancy
Yeah.
stuff, man. Yeah, we can go swim there. We can't
Mhm.
live there. Uh, a little bit out of the price range, you know what I mean? Um, and then yeah, we had the nice dinner. I am of an unsophisticated palate, so we enjoyed
Mhm.
some of my favorite Olive Garden because when you're there, you're family, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And all in all, it was very good. And then yesterday was my actual birthday, to which I just laid around and chilled all day. The only problem was, Chris, and this was
Yeah.
the biggest issue, was I've been waiting for my new comic book shipment, like
Sure.
anxiously, thinking, man, it's going to land right on my birthday. What a great gift to me to receive something I already
You just
paid for.
you want that next part of Hush?
Oh, no, 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 no. that's, the,
No.
that's the
Okay.
last thing I want. And thankfully, that's not included. In lieu of that, I ended up hitting up some books that were kind of at the bottom of the read pile, stuff I've pushed to the side. You know how it always goes, man. Low
Of
priority
course.
style reads, and they range from straight up sludge to mediocre.
I'm not
And
sure which is worse.
okay, what, bad or
Because I
so
mean,
so?
yeah, because I mean, bad could be good if
Mm-hmm.
it's that bad,
Yeah,
but mediocre is just I don't
average.
know. It's like yeah, it's just a waste of time.
It's so so, and actually, in accordance with Bada Show rules, it's actually
I'm your huckleberry.
this is Huckleberry,
There she
man.
is.
You
He
know what I
is. Yeah,
mean? So
Huckleberry.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
range of the reads that I had. But because I am such a weirdo and I love
Mm-hmm.
celebrating me, I had a little party. I had a little shindig. I got together with the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
books, posted some pictures. So if you don't mind, would you permit me to show you some of those lovely reads or not so
Absolutely.
lovely reads right now? Well, then let's take it away, shall we? The first up, Secret Six, number 4.
Hmm.
Now, as you can see here, Secret Six, number 4, got a huge thumbs down from me because I actually reviewed issue 1 on this very program, and I thought it had potential.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to go somewhere, maybe appeal to me a little bit, especially since it was written by Nicole Maines, who did an excellent
Sure.
job on an Absolute Power John Kent
One
special.
shot.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one shot. And dude, one shots always stink. And it was actually
More often than not.
really good. Well, guess what? Secret Six has done nothing but suck. And I actually was contacting you because this month's pre-order was the final issue of the mini, and I was so close to cutting it because I'm just so frustrated with it. But ultimately,
Yeah.
I decided to stick around for that last issue at the discount of $2.59 cover, and more so just so I won't have to put any effort in to tracking it down later to finally complete this stupid freaking 6-issue run. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But anyway, what are you gonna do? Let's move on, shall we? The next one was actually a back issue read that I had floating around. You know me, man. I'm always hungry for some good Spidey stories. So I picked up
Sure.
Peter Parker Spider-Man number 37. Now we're going, a good chunk of time back here. I believe this was 2002. So we got Paul Jenkins and actually one of your favorite authors because you love pronouncing his name on interiors in Mr. Mark Buckingham. So Buckingham. Yeah, if you're not familiar with any of Chris's previous podcasting work, Buckingham or Buckingham was I guess a verbal roadblock for you, a stumbling point as far as how to properly pronounce
I have a few
his
of
name.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I don't want to offend anybody, so I just say all the ways.
Well.
Yeah, he was the penciler on Shadow of the Bat early on in the Cataclysm with Alan Grant. I like Buckingham. Yeah, Buckingham. Bucky, whatever you want to call him.
Bucky, yeah. The art wasn't really the problem with this one. The story, it's a slice of life. It's definitely a fill-in issue.
Okay.
One of those Gap comics to kind of, bridge between a different storyline. And it's just about
That was a lot of Peter Parker at that time, though.
Yeah, it's just...
Because...
What's
that?
That's...
Was Straczynski already on Amazing at that point?
2002, I believe so.
Yeah, so Peter Parker was kind of the slice of life side series. So you get a lot of that kind of not like overarching type of stuff there, but it was usually very enjoyable.
Yeah, well, this slice of life was an absolute snore fest, man. It was, it had to do with like a blizzard. Aunt May calls them over to shovel, despite the fact there's a blizzard going outside, the entire city shut down, and the Vulture pops up and gives you some very Silver Age lingo and action that wasn't very appealing. So hopefully, I was hoping rather, that was going to be the pick 'em up, the one to pull me out of the birthday doldrums, but alas, that was not to be the case. Now, next up is a series that, I have touted heavily on the Bada Bin Show, and, it has its little moments where I've kind of been like, meh. And unfortunately for me, thinking that this would be maybe my savior, Fantastic Four, number 32, and actually the cover reads Fantastic One, and it has to do with an alternate universe where Franklin Richards takes on the guise of Galactus and is the end-all, be-all keeper of all reality. Series is almost over.
Aggressively dull.
It was pretty dull. Well, this volume, rather, not the series, is about to be over. So kind of going out with a little bit of a fizzle here. I believe there's one more issue before it switches over to the latest volume. Same writer, different artist.
Because aren't they counting down? Like, wasn't like last one Fantastic 2?
Yes, correct. This is
like
Fantastic
they had that, 1. So I think they're just... It seems like they do that every time that a Fantastic Four volume kind of peters out.
Yeah.
It's like, this one's called 4, this one's called 3, this one's called 2.
They need a new toy box here. That's definitely what they need for their gimmicks. And now, last, actually, on the reads, I don't know, man, like, here's the deal. It's when you are kind of aware of a writer's previous work, you kind of hope some of that quality or some of those like story types are going to translate over into what they're writing now. And that was why I picked up Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger. And here is, how did that photo? Wait, hold on. How did that photo get in there? That's actually a picture of my birthday party. Whoopsie. There was a fire. Just kidding. For any Seinfeld fans out there, you definitely know what this image is from. But real quick, yes, you're right. This is Palmiotti, who did a really good job, New 52 era, on Jonah Hex. So I was kind of hoping for those same vibes this time around. Not being versed in the Gunslinger Spawn universe, if you will. But unfortunately, it has really, really been quite dull indeed, to kind of borrow your term for Fantastic Four or Fantastic One. So yeah, nothing was really, all the books I was looking to kind of be those gifts on my birthday just turned out to be fuddy-duddies. So unfortunately, that's where I was left. But as they say, it is my birthday. I will cry if I want to. And that was my summer vacation, starring Dave. So yeah, there you go. There's a little slideshow to detail all the things that let me down. So I'm really glad I started the show off on such a bummer.
I mean, this could be this could be the Festivus in June,
right?
We have our grievances.
Well, alas, thank you yet again to my family for making it a wonderful experience, and screw you to the comics that just really made me want to drool all over myself and show my true age instead. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a wee bit unfortunate, but hey, real quick before we move on, something I always wait to do that gets me in so much trouble each and every time out is not taking the time to acknowledge the other members of the program that make it happen. You know what I mean? It's really important that we address these other people, or rather not people, but things or animals that make the Bada Bin show tick. Yes, the entities. You took the
characters.
Wonderful characters. And ain't they though? Bada Bot, are you there, baby? You are. Thank you very much. So, Bada Bot, thank you for making your appearance. And of course, we have our mascot. Where is he, baby? Show me the Bada Bird.
Bird up.
Would you mind filling me in on something that I find to be, scary? Okay. And that is, for longtime viewers, or recent viewers even, of the Bada Bin show, I've been collecting Action Comics for a very, very long time. Love me some Superman, but unfortunately the new creative team was just enough to drive me away, figuring that I could get the issues later in the cheapo bin. But you, my friend, have decided to carry on and continue buying Action to fill me in, to let me know if this was a great, big, grand mistake I made, or if I made the right call to let it go. You know what I mean? Now, you recently have acquired the latest issue of Action Comics, so I am there. It is in the flesh. I'm curious to see, did I make a big mistake here, or what's happening, baby?
Let's see. I could start off by saying,
yes,
honestly,
please.
Let's see. This has probably been the best issue of Action in a few months.
Get out of here, for real?
Well, compared to the Major Disaster and that other, the Willow Wilson one, this is better than that.
Okay.
I mean, that's not that's a real hard pole to limbo under, but
okay, yeah, sure.
It is better than that. What has been our, I can't even say it's a complaint, but what have we been saying about all of Wade's work for quite a while now? It's not terrible. And like we were talking about earlier here, mediocre can sometimes be worse than bad.
Okay.
It's just aggressively And I mean, I go into this with kind of a bias. I'm a post-crisis guy. I don't like Clark Kent as Superboy. I like that we got away from that in the post-crisis, where there were no stories of Superman when he was a boy. Because John Byrne would call Superboy story, well, he would call any story that happened in the past a Superboy story, because by the fact that Superboy does grow up to become Superman, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much peril you can put him in. There's only so much threat, you know? This story, I don't know who asked for it, besides Mark Waid. I can't imagine that anyone legitimately is reading this and thinking that it's adding a whole ton to the mythos. I mean, those who aren't getting it for free and being, given goodie bags for saying those things. It's aggressively middling. It ends with a cliffhanger introducing potentially a new villain, who I'm guessing, kind of like did you read Burns Chapter 1, Spider-Man Chapter 1?
No, the only thing I remember, and this is vaguely because I was getting it at the time, was when he and Howard Mackie relaunched amazing. That was the last
Yeah,
time I read any burn on Spider-Man.
and that was trash. But that was aggressively bad, so there was a little bit of a charm to it. Like you'd read it and you'd be like gobsmacked. It's like, wow, Spider-Man's supposed to be Marvel's main character, and this is what they're doing with him. They're so out of touch with what anybody could possibly want. But concurrently with the Byrne Mackey reboot, they launched a mini-series, or maxi series, I guess. It was 12 issues, Spider-Man Chapter 1. And in it, they like linked Dr. Octopus to the Spider Bite. They linked so many things together. I think they made it so like Sandman was somehow related to the Osborns because they had the same hair. I mean, it was ridiculous stuff here. They really were crafting, no pun intended, they were crafting this web to make sure everything kind of fit in the Spider-Man origin and lore. And it wasn't good. In it, Byrne introduced a new character, a new villain, who we'd never heard of before because he wasn't a thing before. And it was kind of like a take on Captain Marvel, where it was like a boy who could turn into a superpowered guy. And wouldn't you know it, a few months later, he shows up in like the main continuity. And it's like, oh, it's this guy we've never heard of before, except in this one miniseries. And now it's a real character. So I don't know if Wade is introducing characters in that sort of way, where all of a sudden this new character who we only saw in Shadow is going to become like a big bad for the next World's Finest crossover event. It just doesn't add much. And it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's better than Superman Superstars. I'm not even sure it's as good as the Action Comics Weekly thing that Wade did last year.
Wow.
It's not what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned that the art was a deterrent for you. The art was the least of it.
I'm surprised
the art was
by
okay.
that.
Yeah, I mean, the art was it's not exactly what I'm looking for, but it wasn't terrible. And like this, the thing I sent you yesterday, I was like, he's wearing red Converse with his costume.
The Chuck Taylors.
It's like, this isn't your daddy's super. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
really? Okay. And I'm sure that's getting the clicks, and I'm sure that's getting the LOL randoms, because that's all it was meant to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, this is Superboy's first official outing as Superboy. You know, we see him on do you mind if I spoil it? Should I spoil it?
Go for it. Knock yourself out.
He's on a bus with his parents coming to Metropolis for a future fair, like a World's Fair sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents know that he's got these powers, of course. He knows that he's got the powers. So on the bus, they see that he's wearing a high-collared blue shirt under his flannel. And they're like, and she pulls it down, and of course it's the Superman logo. And she's like, "Oh, why are you wearing that?" He's like, "Well, we're going to a big city. I don't know what's going to happen here." And wouldn't you know it, they get there and a terrorist is there.
Okay.
A superpowered terrorist. So, one kind of neat thing that they did is like all of the conversation between the Kents is in whispers. Because super hearing, it's like, "Okay, son, you go ahead and do it, son." You know, it's like he gives him the okay, and then he bursts into Superboy mode. Kind of gets his ass kicked, but then winds up defeating the guy by not doing anything. He just scared him. So I don't know if this new character is gonna be something, but this is all seen on the news. They see this, there's photos of this boy in weird clothes, and then it's handed off to General Lane, of course, because everything has to be connected. So we're going to get some Lane Kent intrigue. I don't know if they're going to retcon and Clark and Lois into meeting earlier than they did. I'm guessing they will. I never watched Smallville. I don't know if you did. Did you ever watch Smallville?
I did not, no.
I had zero interest in that. But I feel like this might be leaning into that, because I think they had liberties with the Clark and Lois meeting in that. Like, I think, and I also think that Metropolis and Smallville were in the same state in that, because like it was just like a short drive.
You got me, man. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm at a total disadvantage, so I might be just talking out my ass. But I feel like that's with how loose continuity is now. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if it's like, oh, Clark and Lois actually met when they were kids and they forgot about it, or they just never mentioned it again. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it ends with like some dude watching this news report, and he's like, "Oh, it's time," and then he levitates, and it's like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
there you go."
Woo! I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head when you're telling me about the Chuck Taylors, where
Mm-hmm.
it's just perfect for clickbait and all
Oh
these
yeah,
comic news sites now. Well, I use the word news,
with a
uh,
Z.
yeah, pretty much, because it is just trying to grab your attention with a headline, and then you
Mm-hmm.
click on it, and it's just like a tweet.
It's a
Um,
non-issue. Yeah.
right, and I'm sure the headline would read, "You won't believe the changes DC made to Superman's costume,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not talking about the trunks."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wearing Chucks. Okay, I also fell victim though to some clickbait where it was like Superman's birthday has
Mm-hmm.
changed or something,
Yep.
and I hit it and I was like, okay, this is a retcon I can get behind because they had changed it to June 18th,
Yep.
which was my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally, hey, I'm down for that, I guess. Because prior to that, the closest birthday I share, as far as I knew, to a fictional character was
Mm-hmm.
Garfield, whose birthday I believe is today. So,
Oh,
yeah, so happy birthday, Garfield.
happy birthday.
Um, yeah, so I was like, well, that's kind of neat. But then you were like, wait, it's not February 29th anymore? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I did happen to read an article that gave like a loose timeline on the changes to his birthday and
Uh-huh.
how it's never truly been set in stone. But anyway, from what you've told me thus far, I know you said it's been better than what we've gotten out of Action Comics over the last handful of months.
Yeah, because that's been trash.
But
This is not. This isn't trash. This is just unnecessary, and I
mm,
don't know. Like, I know there's a movie coming out. Is this gonna be? Are they gonna do Kid Clark in that movie? I don't know. I'm not following
no,
any of the crap. Um, I. It's like we talked about last week. Anybody who wandered into a movie theater and sat through it, and they're like, "I want more of this," they're gonna go to a comic shop and get this.
whoops.
This, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and of course, it has the banner. It has the banner,
Mm-hmm.
which every book with an S on it has right now. None of them are linked, but they all have this banner that makes it seem like it's all one big story, which it ain't. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Very, very half pregnant. And that's something that I sent you.
yes.
They're making references here because something cool that Wade will do is he'll
Mm-hmm.
he'll actually refer to continuity, which I love. Um, but they did it in this half pregnant sort of way, where it's like Clark's talking about how his dad, was a big fan of the Golden Age heroes. Of course, he didn't call them the Golden Age heroes, but it's like his dad would quiz him. It's like, okay, so how did Green Lantern take care of Solomon Grundy? And it's like, oh, he left him on the moon, and it's like, put the footnote. Tell us where this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't need to go read it, but show us that it actually happened because there's I mean, how many Golden Age stories are there? They cram like 800 of them in a single issue, so there's a ton. So I'm sure they're referring to something legitimate. So just put the damn footnote in there. You ain't hurting nobody, and you're giving yourself a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
Especially when that Metropolis, that Welcome to Metropolis BS that they put in here, that
Mm-hmm.
bullpenny thing. Like there's like a Professor Wade bit in there now. I don't know if you saw that yet.
I have not. No.
Where, okay, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I. Yeah, here we go. Professor Wade. Is it in the screen there? Like where he talks about like when the first heat vision sighting happened or whatever, the first time he used heat vision and why it took him so long to use it. When you're putting that kind of stuff in there, put a damn footnote to a Golden Age comic in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
You,
It feels like a missed opportunity.
right, and he could probably just rattle it off the top of his head anyway.
I'm
That.
sure he still has the index card he wrote it on 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And my whole thing, and you mentioned you didn't find the art to be the most egregious issue with this comic,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that. That's fine. I was just so disappointed in, and I believe it's Skylar Partridge is the name of the artist. who
Skylar Patridge.
Partridge, yes. Everybody's talented in their own way. They may
For
not
sure.
be great to me, not my cup of tea.
Yes, some styles don't talk to you. Yeah,
Exactly. It
sure.
completely and utterly didn't talk to me at all. It was speaking a different
Hmm.
language, man.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm like, I really don't want to pay for a book where
Hmm.
Partridge is the main artist. Like Wade is one thing, right? I buy a lot of books that Wade is involved in.
Because he's involved in most of them.
Yes, for different reasons too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Rewarding a title like World's Finest because it's technically an ongoing. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Absolutely.
it's not right to bail on it despite its quality being iffy or so.
Sure.
Um, so Wade, I wasn't excited about, but then to pair him with Partridge was just like that's when I again had to jump out the back of the plane and just bail out, man. I just was like, no, I can't do it.
It was like there are some pages here that look like a lighter version of like a Brett Booth, which I like Brett Booth. Like it's almost like Brett Booth mixed with like an Ian Churchill. I mean, you can see there. I don't know if it's
Hold on,
coming
let me
across.
put
But
you larger here so we can see.
yeah,
Oops.
and there you can see his kicks too.
Oh yeah, look at those without the Chuck Taylor circles because you don't
Yeah,
want to get sued.
true that. But I mean, the face it kind of looks Boothy a little bit. Maybe oh, what's his name? Oh, good grief! The guy who drew the
It's kind of cartoony to me, I think.
it is cartoony. It is cartoony for
Yeah.
sure. But I think it's worlds better than that that Supergirl backup. Because that Supergirl backup, it almost looked like she was trying to going out of her way to make the characters look really ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And like really like haggard and just like, I don't know, road worn. Because like even Supergirl just looked like very haggard in those.
Yeah.
It's like, and I mean that's a choice, and maybe it fit in with the story. I couldn't get into the story either.
Yeah, no, the story was ugh. Blah.
Yeah, I think I
Give me
made
the
it through the first
heebie-jeebies.
part. Yeah, I think I made it through the first part, and I was like, okay, I don't need this in my life.
Right, exactly.
But it was just a very like, I don't know. Everybody looked like they were ugly on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what? From that image you just showed me, it does look better. I think.
It's not bad. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not. It's not exactly what we'd be looking for a Superman story, but it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then back to the Wade thing. Is pretty much what you had said from the start of talking about this issue. Was who asked for this? Who demanded it?
Yeah.
Nobody except for Mark Wade himself, which is, become a thing because as much respect that you show Mark Wade for all of his accomplishments, his knowledge, I feel like we're basically filleting the guy every time we talk about him. Yet at the same time, we're also throwing his recent creative output in the dumpster. You know what I mean?
I mean, there has to be a calibration on any creator, regardless of tenure and contribution. There's only so many pages by one person. I mean, we get this in comics because that's how comics work now. They've worked this way since the turn of the century, where it's like, hey, this Bendis guy is getting some buzz. Give him every single book.
Yeah, I know.
And that's just because, like, there was like years where it was like Donnie Cates or Donnie Coates, whatever his name is. He was writing every third book. Cullen Bunn was writing every third book. Everybody was writing. Like one person was writing every book for like a cluster of months, and it was just Chuck Austen. Marvel gave Chuck Austen like every book for a bit, and it's like, okay, he did okay on this one story, but you give him everybody. I don't know.
You're riding that hot hand, man.
But I mean, that's when the seams show. That shortens careers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not in the Wade case, because he's been around forever and he's not going anywhere. But for the most part, it's like if you really want to see a creator with limitless potential burn out, give him every book.
Oh yeah.
And throw an event or two on there too. Because like, imagine if they had exercised a little bit of self-control with Bendis. Bendis wouldn't be like a roll eyes sort of. It's like, oh, Bendis is okay. But if they had used him in more strategic ways, it'd be like, oh, I want more from this guy. I mean, I think that the exception that proves the rule is probably Jeff Johns, because like they gave Jeff Johns just enough. You know, he didn't have every book. He might have had his fingers in every book, but he wasn't writing every book.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
think pretty much everything he put out was fantastic.
Yeah, no, that burnout thing is definitely legitimate and real.
Yeah.
And even if the creator would deny it and be like, "No, I'm clicking on all cylinders here," well, the readers would differ with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we can see like the dilution of the product that you're putting out because
Mm-hmm.
you're being spread so thin.
Sure.
Um, but with Wade, man, yeah, it just seems like it's Wade's world and we're just buying it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it's all fine and dandy. Maybe you dig it, but for me, I'm not getting overly excited by it. It's not floating my boat. I would like to see maybe some new blood thrown into some of these titles
Mm-hmm.
and less Wade control. And
And think about when Wade made his name. That was post Crisis, when continuity mattered a bit more.
mm-hmm.
And it was also during that era, that odd era, where like DC faced like a maturation. You know, we were, you know, Hal was gone, Kyle was there, Barry was gone, Wally was there.
Right.
We had the DC universe kind of growing up, and everything had to work within those confines. And Wade flourished. You know, he took Wally Flash and made him more than what he was. You know, because he had like the Messner Loeb stuff, which was good. But when Wade got on that book and he did the like the Born to Run, there was no stopping it. And then you go from Wade into Johns, and it was just fantastic, fantastic run. Now, what matters? You know, there are no rules, so nothing matters. And so even the finest of stories feel like they don't matter. You know, and then you have stories that literally don't matter.
Yeah.
Stuff we're backfilling. We're backfilling a continuity we don't know if it exists or not, or if it'll exist tomorrow. Because I'm sure, I mean, the pendulum always swings backwards.
Yes.
You know? So it's like the next people who have power might be like, I'm post Crisis. I don't want Clark to have ever been Superboy. So,
Yeah.
so Action Comics 1087 through whenever the hell this ends all happened in a pocket universe.
Put that
The
in your
Time
footnote.
Trapper did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Time Trapper did it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's just, that was when he did his you called it the Action Comics Weekly, which is correct. It was released weekly with the Phantoms. At first I was like,
Yeah.
hey man, all right, Clayton Henry, Mark Wade, let's check this out.
Sure.
Man. But to
Why
me
not?
it was paint drying, you know what I mean? And that's
It was
why
dull.
it was very dull. And you look at what he's doing over in World's Finest. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's got some traditional, of course, it's a Justice League book, Justice League United rather, World's Finest. Like they've got the superhero elements, of course,
Sure.
but it's just not wowing you. It's not
We're not
jazzing you
jazzed.
up. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just feels very cut and paste, and that's
Does.
all right. Well, it is what it is. So I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where I don't know when or if ever DC would pivot from this and try to do something different. Maybe there's something in the pipeline, like, you know what, we're going to give Mark Wade, well, I would think, the keys to the car. He's allowed to do as many issues as he wants. I don't know what the plan is,
Yeah.
ultimately. I don't know. So,
And I never think it's wise to give all the power to someone who has seemingly burnt bridges at both companies numerous times. You know, it's like you're letting this guy write the history of the DC universe. They did the history of the Marvel universe with him a few years ago, and then he left.
right.
So now we have DC. It's like this is all in Wade's image. He can get mad one day and say, "I'm done." And then what?
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else really to say about that. I'm just going to keep waiting
Nah.
for your action updates periodically to let me know.
They're coming.
Yeah, what is coming and going in Mark Wadeville.
Because I mean, it did take me a whole 6 minutes to read it.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that was a quickie.
Mm-hmm.
Bummer. Now, Chris, I did read something surprisingly, and this unfortunately fell yet again to the bottom of the read pile, but I enjoyed it. So it kind of sucks that I went through so many, ugly ducklings before I found my pseudo swan,
Hmm.
and it actually arose in a title that I didn't expect it to. And you're gonna love this. And I did a review of this book before in the past, so I
Hmm.
am
Is this that
slightly,
eagly crap?
yeah. I was gonna say
Yeah.
I am slightly repeating myself here because you ain't gonna love it. But as that is the Peacemaker presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature, and this is number 3 out of 5. Now, I
They
mean,
just need
dude,
to put James Gunn's name in front of it.
yeah, he because he's a consultant, you see.
But I think his name goes in front of everything
It
now.
does. It
Yeah.
does because ultimately this is based off the characters from the streaming
Hmm.
service, okay? It is not your regular comics in quotation marks
Hmm.
continuity characters. This isn't, the Peacemaker or Vigilante from previous publications. This is strictly
Sure.
from Max, okay? Um,
Hmm.
and
I wonder how well it's selling.
you know what?
We'll never know.
That's a yeah, but that is a really good question.
Hmm.
Um, because I do in fact enjoy the programs,
Hmm.
they're very funny. Now, the way I want to relate this is to Sinister Six, right?
Okay.
Because I talked about rather, a debut and how quickly it was like a gutter ball, you know what I mean? When you're bowling, it looked like it was heading straight, gonna give you a strike, and then whoop,
And zigged.
and then
Yeah.
zigged when it should have zagged, and in that gutter it went and rolled out, and you got 0 points. Well, I'm gonna give some kudos points here to
Hmm.
this series because you know what? It's aware, it knows what it is. It's been consistent throughout these first few issues, and that is adult humor, very lewd, crude because they rhyme, and humorous, And it does
Hmm.
have two parts to it, where the first half of this book is the vigilante story, which is written by Tim Seeley and illustrated by Mitch Gerards. We can't say
Oh,
names here.
Tom, the Tom King cohort.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mitch.
Gerads. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just call him Tom King cohort.
Yeah.
Whose art, yeah, I think is a very good artist. The only thing with
Oh
him
yeah,
is
absolutely.
I think comedy struggles to translate through his art because it does have this like grittiness,
He's
this
grit. Yeah.
yeah, and then the second half is actually a Peacemaker story, even though they say it's Eagly.
Hmm.
And let me look up the creators here because I don't remember them off the top of my head because I am a terrible reviewer. You know what? I think it's embarrassing because Geek Dad would probably put me to shame in the review department. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, he put us
Yeah.
all to he take us all to school.
With him, it's easy. He remembers creators' names and he gives everything a 10 out of 10. Well, I
Hmm.
struggle just remembering who worked on the damn book. But let me flip this open here so I can give an accurate representation. Okay, so the first story, Vigilante, like I said, that is consultant, as you noted, James Gunn, Tim
Hmm.
Seeley, Mitch Gerards, and then Eagly is written by Rex Ogle, pencils by Matteo Lawley.
Okay,
And
Lolly did. I think he did some of the early Hoxpox X Men.
okay, it's
He
very
might have been on
cartoony.
Marauders. Yeah, I think he was on Marauders.
Yeah,
And who's the Rex Ogle?
Rex
I thought he
Ogle.
was an artist too.
Uh,
Maybe he is an artist as well.
if he is, I am unaware of it. I was not very familiar with that
Hmm.
name going into this, but I will say the story has been very, very funny,
Hmm.
and I have enjoyed it. So, you know what? It's lighthearted. It's like something you don't need to take seriously. You definitely don't need to
Hmm.
think, much like you were talking about with action, like as far as looking for any continuity points, any of that, all that's thrown out the window.
Sure.
And what you get is just a couple silly adventures every month that, would definitely offend Nana. And,
Hmm.
anybody who thinks that they can define what is the correct taste or proper, you know, etiquette on what should be in printed form. So,
Sure.
they'd be clutching some pearls for sure. But yeah, man, I was happy with this. And, if each month I get this book for the 5 issue run and it gives me a few chuckles out of it, I feel like I got my money's
Yeah.
worth. You know what I mean? And I'm okay
That's all
with
you can
that.
ask for. That's all you
Exactly.
can ask for these days.
Exactly. And, streaming service characters or not, is still pretty gosh darn entertaining. So thank you for saving my week. Peacemaker presents Vigilante and Eagly double feature, which is definitely a mouthful. I might have to come up with an abbreviation or nickname for this book if I review it ever again down the road. But you know what? Since it is starring Eagly, I think I should play this. Bird up. There he is. Oh yeah, we love you, Bada Bird. You know, I kind of feel bad because initially in the show I was like jumping out ahead of everything to say, "Hey, Bada Bot, what's up? Bada Bird, what's up?" And I didn't mention Chris Yu this time.
Uh-oh.
So he's probably watching this, and he's probably like, "What a dick, what a jerk."
It's true.
Dave's like talking about all the
you have birthday brain.
Yeah. There we go. We'll chalk it up to that. So we will get to Chris Yu's email later in the program, but I didn't forget about him completely. He actually sent me a nice text on my birthday, which was very kind, and I was very appreciative that he did that. So very nice indeed. Now,
absolutely.
Moving on, unless you want to talk about the Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly double feature.
No.
Yes, I knew that wasn't the case. I stumbled upon a listing for a comic because I keep things on like my online wish list.
Sure.
And one of them was like a Submariner issue, the debut issue of Slime Thing. As far as I know, the only issue ever of Slime Thing. And when I got the email notification that the issue was available, it was for a graded version. But what struck me was that it was a Pedigree CGC, a Pedigree comic from a collection simply known as Winnipeg, which is a city, as far as I know, in Canada. Now, I am no geography major, but that's what I'm naturally assuming here. Now, notably, there have been collections that have belonged to actors, Nicolas Cage, or certain celebrities from the comic biz, you know, and those might have an allure or some kind of attraction to people because of who owned them before. But initially, just kind of thinking, all right, this is from the Winnipeg collection. Would I be willing to pay a premium for that book? Because obviously there's going to be one. I mean, there's no other reason why CGC
why would you mention it? Yeah.
would want to slap a specific Pedigree label onto something, unless, of course, it was to make more money, you know, later down the road. So, you know, of course, I brought you into this conversation and was like, hey, man, or initiated this conversation. I wasn't having it with anybody else. But, like, you know, would you be willing to ever pay a premium for a comic? Not necessarily because it's a slabbed Pedigree, but because there might be some evidence that it was owned by the kind of people that I mentioned before.
John Voight.
Of note, yes, John Voight's chewed pencil. We already got our Seinfeld bit out for the day, but yeah, we did. Like, would there be any appeal to you owning, and yet again, we're not talking about ephemera, all pencils, but strictly comics themselves. You know what I mean? Initially, my thought would be, no. Why would I want to do that? Just because it sat in, you know, Stan Lee's
Nicolas
drawer.
Cage's basement? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know, point made there. But I suppose to some collectors, there would be a...
for sure.
more initiative or attraction to acquire said book for that very reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so what say you?
You know, I have a few things that are from Pedigree collections. I didn't get them because of it. They were more like happy accident. I can't even say a happy accident. It's just kind of neat. Right. You know, when I was doing Animal Crossing, I ordered, see if I can pull it out here, the Harley Quinn first appearance, or the first appearance in continuity. And this one came with a little certificate here that I wasn't expecting. It's from the Wanka collection.
Ooh. You know,
yeah,
I don't know if you're saying that right. You say wanker. Like,
how would you say it?
Well, you know, wanker implies something else. everybody feel free to whip out your
Some-
urban dictionaries and check
Some
that
cardiovascular exercise.
activity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerome Wenker. I'll say
Mhm.
Wenker collection. Yes.
Sure.
Sorry to
sure.
interrupt. Please continue.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to come, but yeah, it was actually part of some collection of. I think he owned like every DC or something like that. He was. Let's see. This collection was only 22 short of being complete.
Ooh,
So this is a piece of comic book history, and now it's mine.
nice.
Had I been given the option, I would buy the cheaper one.
Right.
You know, this was very, because I mean the Harley Quinn one shot first printing. I was seeing that on eBay for like upwards of $500. I'm like, oh, never gonna get that one. You know, that's gonna elude me forever. And I didn't have an alert set up, but I did check it like every day on eBay. And I came across one. It was I think it was like $65, and I was like, oh crap! It's like I need, because you need to see the back of it, because the US whatever the hell the thing is, the barcode, the box is weird.
UPC.
You know, that's the word. The letters.
There we go.
It's a little weird. It doesn't look. It looks kind of bootleg, but this is how the first prints came out.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I saw a lot of them that said first print, but they were actually the second or third print because they had a more ordinary looking UPC.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I'd see one for like a decent price, I would send them a message, be like, hey, could you take a picture of the barcode?
Right.
And they'd send it and it would be the wrong one, you know. But this one actually, I was going to send the email, but they actually took a picture of the back of the book and it had that weird barcode. So I'm like, okay, this is a first print, allegedly. $60, $65. All right. So I gambled and it came and it was what it was. And I didn't know it was part of a pedigreed collection. I didn't know it would come with a certificate of authenticity. I'm glad it did, you know, but it wouldn't have made me buy it any quicker, you know. If that one was $85 or $65 or whatever it was, and there was another one that was $20 cheaper, I'd have gone with the $20 cheaper one. And wouldn't have even thought twice about it. And it wasn't even advertised as being part of a collection.
Yeah.
You know, so whoever was selling it, either on behalf or behest of Jerome there, or someone who had bought it from the collection initially and was reselling it, they didn't say it.
Yeah. It's just a little perk, a little added bonus.
Yeah, it was neat. It was neat.
Would there be someone, though, that you would be willing, like, is there anybody in the world famous enough or notable enough where you'd be like, yeah, you know what, I will kick in an extra $50 for this or whatever?
I mean, it would all be very, very context based. Like if you were to buy the DC Comics Presents number 26 that Marv Wolfman owned, you know, it's like, okay, this was in Marv's collection. It's the first appearance of the new Teen Titans. That might be neat. You know, as far as other collectors are concerned, I don't think I'd care. As far as a celebrity was concerned, why would I care? You know, like, oh, this is Nicolas Cage's issue of Power Man and Iron Fist. That doesn't do anything for me. You know, but maybe if it was like a Alan Moore's copy of the Anatomy Lesson, might be interesting. You know, Alan Moore's Watchmen #1. That could be cool. You know, Chris Claremont's first issue of X-Men that he owned. You know, but otherwise, it would all be very, very context specific. You know, like the Peter David Hulk with the Wolverine cover. If that's from Peter David's collection.
Yeah, but see, I was saying something like $50. You're bringing up some high ticket stuff here.
Well, because it would have to be.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Yeah, that's
because otherwise,
memorabilia.
Of course.
You know, that's what that becomes.
That's Todd McFarlane's balls.
Yeah, Barry Bonds' ball. Okay, the home run ball. Let's be clear here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like when I first was thinking about this, because I love arguing with myself. I'm like devil's advocate in my own head. I'm carrying on these conversations up here before I even like bring it up to you. Like, I'm like, no, that's ridiculous, man. I would never pay an extra. I wouldn't pay a red penny more, just because it's a pedigree book. But then I'm like, I can see the appeal of
You
that
want Jim
because
Lee's copy of this?
no, I most certainly do not. To which, they made like a treasury size edition of that.
Bigger than Treasury.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's huge.
Why? I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah, it's
um,
huge.
I was like, well, okay, condition matters, right? So this pedigree stuff, like if it is from a specific collector, it's been treated with some TLC. So
Yeah,
you're gonna get the good stuff here, man. You're not, you know,
maybe.
maybe. And speaking of appeal, there's something I've always found very attractive with back issues is the hidden story, where I almost like relate it to like archaeology or Indiana Jones, where you never know the road that book took
Oh yeah.
to arrive in your grubby little paws. And that,
How many bathrooms it was in?
well, let's not go down that road.
This was in Nicolas Cage's bathroom.
Ooh, bring up that dollar value, man. Let's play the price guide is right on that one. But yeah, like, there is. Okay, I understand it. We'll put it that way. Would I
Sure.
personally pay for it? No. But, rationally, mentally, I'm like, okay, it maybe makes a little bit of sense to me. But then, as I just mentioned, memorabilia, I was struggling really hard to think of a celebrity or anybody else of note that I would have been like, yeah, I will shell out a good chunk of change just because
Guy
it was.
Fieri's World's Finest.
You know what? No, I won't do that for Guy Fieri's World Finest, but I will do it for a like a hair used bleach bottle or something of that nature. But yeah, man, like it's
His puka
interesting.
shell necklace.
Yeah, you brought up Alan Moore's copies of this or that.
Yeah.
That immediately in my head was like, bing, bing, bing. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like
Sure.
that is a logical thing worth opening up your wallet and crying about later. But yeah, I mean, it's funny you should bring up the Guy Fieri World's Finest, Jerry Seinfeld. We've been, we've each had our stab at a Seinfeld bit during the course of this show. We both love Seinfeld. Would you be willing to pay a little extra because Seinfeld owned a book? Or, maybe, not a lot, but it would definitely, if, for
It
example,
would ping.
clickbait, I would click on that. Jerry Seinfeld
It would
selling it.
ping.
Oh, okay. Let me check that out. See what it's all about, But yeah, I would be very interested to see if there is someone who specifically targets pedigree collections, or anything of the like, because that is something that's fairly new to me, conceptually, as far as collecting
Sure.
goes.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting niche within the niche within a niche. It's like hyper specific, right? I mean, give Overstreet a few years and they'll start adding them to to the price guide. It's like, oh, this is the Winnipeg version. Stop. I don't know how anybody uses the Overstreet nowadays with how ridiculous everything is a variant. I mean, even going back to before variants were a thing, it's like, oh, this was direct market, this was newsstand. Just stop.
Well, to be perfectly honest, my reaction to that would be you just don't include any of the variants because they're not worth anything usually anyway.
They're not.
So maybe if there is, let's say, a limited retailer exclusive that's worth like $20, then you include that. But other than that, it's just straight up cover A for everything because that's the only, charting.
I feel like
cover.
they're gonna have to do. They're gonna have to like have appendices for the Overstreet. Like you'll have the Overstreet price guide, and then you'll have the Overstreet variant price guide, and you'll have the Overstreet ratio price guide.
Yes.
I feel like it's just gonna be they're gonna be wasting so much damn paper on stuff that ain't worth anything.
But as you had just mentioned, who still uses it anyway? Like who's, things that we used to view as gospel, whether it was Beckett for baseball cards as kids or,
Tough
Overstreet.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like who's using that as a resource now? And I'm sure there must be an online version of it. Maybe like a paid subscription so you get more updated prices at regular intervals.
Because we used to get the Overstreet update every 4 months. It'd be a thin magazine that would go with your price guide.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think anybody is truly using that as the end-all, be-all. This is how I'm going to price things out. What's probably the most valuable resource of anything is now the filter on eBay
It's the
for
market. Yeah.
what they sold for, whatever the item might have
Yep.
sold for. You know what I mean? That's probably of much more use,
Of
I would
course.
think.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because everything's worth what people are going to pay.
mm-hmm,
So
exactly.
that's unless you game the system and sell a book to yourself for $700. Um,
Well, to be
like someone might
perfectly
have done.
honest, I've said to you in the past, like if I see Swamp Thing number 56 in the wild, I already own 5, 6 copies. I still buy one anyway, and I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, I have them all. Blah. But I mean, with my birthday just being yesterday and stuff, I kind of had one of those weird moments the other night where you stop and
Mhm.
reflect and think about everything, and you go like, and I know you've had this thought, you've talked about this with me in the past,
Mhm.
where I've acquired all these things, all this
Mhm.
plastic, all these comics and stuff. And the point that you've made was I'm essentially producing a burden onto people who
For
love
those I
me.
leave behind. Yep.
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? And when is enough enough? And you always say, "Oh, I'm going to slow down on this, or I'm going to stop doing this," but it's almost like this nasty addiction, this itch, where
Oh yeah.
you're kind of like negotiating with yourself on a regular
Mhm.
basis what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Like for me, I'm trying to slow down on action figures. I'm trying to slim down my pre-order to kind of keep the finances more in check and stuff. But when I kind of have my little, I don't want to call it a panic attack or anything. It wasn't to that degree, but definitely
Mhm.
a moment of freaking out mentally in bed, 3 in the morning, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, have I taken this too far? I've dedicated so much time out of my life to this.
Mhm.
Am I making a big mistake? you know? And what I kind of came to calm myself down and soothe my soul, if you will, was like, well, you know what? It makes me happy, for the most part, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something that provides me a lot of peace and prevents me from freaking out in many
It's
ways about
comfort.
other things
Yeah.
and reality at large and stuff. So it serves its purpose. It's just
Mhm.
that, do I need as much as I have, or the
Oh
quantity
yeah.
that I have? And
I mean
the answer is no.
it no, I mean none of us do, but I mean it's a this my collection has affected moving decisions.
Mm,
You
right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
we actually had to invest and build a room for my comics. You know, it's like if we were to move from this house, it's like we can't have a two-story house.
Yep.
It has to be a single story. It has to be a sprawling single story. You know, it is unfortunately it's. I mean, because you mentioned it being a burden on those we leave behind, but it's a burden on the people who are here now.
Mm, right.
You know, it's like this room is full. The room right over there is full. That room downstairs is full. I got long boxes in the hallway. I got a stack. I got two stacks that came in on the couch downstairs. It's it's not quite as gross as like having bundles of newspapers with dead cats under them. It ain't exactly like that. But
True.
it it feels like a prison, but it's a prison I'm very comfortable in.
Mm, exactly.
Where it's like you could get rid of everything, but then what was it all for?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know.
Birthdays
I
are a
don't know. And
funny
it's like
time, man.
birthdays suck.
Well, no, listen, like as much joy as I get out of my birthday, because listen, one thing that you can totally identify with, being
Mhm.
initially from the East Coast, is that, and you were born in December, having a summer
Mhm.
birthday is fantastic. It's the best
Sure.
because, you don't have to be indoors. You can go out and do things. You can go swimming. I loved being a summer child.
Hmm.
Birthday, it was wonderful. Um, I forget exactly where I was going to go with this. I was just so excited to tell you, haha, I have a summer birthday and you don't. Um, but anyway, my birthdays, the thing is I always have those little moments where I do, in fact, kind of like stop and go, crap, I'm
You
old.
reflect.
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly. What has this all been for? What's going on? And there have been times, I think you talking about the prison is what spurred on my initial engine here.
Hmm.
Is I've been in this very room that I'm sitting in right now, and I've said to my wife out loud, like, if I was trapped in here, I'm good. Like, seriously, I'm okay. Just me and all this stuff. And she's like, well, what about us? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Bring on the apocalypse.
Yeah, I'm like, of course, you guys too. And some food and a place to use the restroom. But I mean, yes. Still, like, this is okay. And I'm sure to other people, it'd be torture. It would
Oh,
be
sure.
agonizing. Like, how can I be stuck in this small space surrounded by all this junk? And for me, it's nirvana, baby. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So, yeah, different strokes for different folks. But it's just funny, man. And I do definitely, though, I think this the ultimate thing is now I'm in my late 40s. I need to slow down a little bit, chill out, take stock, put some priorities, some other things, maybe. But it's like baby steps, like I said, canceling
Oh,
some
yeah.
pre-orders.
Sure.
I said earlier in the show how I stuck with Secret Six for that last issue just so I wouldn't have to put in the effort later.
Hmm.
Cutting down
And get
that
a
pole.
variant. Yeah.
Yeah, but cutting down that pole, man, that's another thing I'm trying to do is like
Hmm.
kind of, bring it back down to earth and
Yeah.
stop just kind of going willy-nilly on everything just because I get a discount for using mail order. And
Hmm.
you know what I think hurts even and makes me kind of like shocks me back into this whole state of wanting to trim or cut the fat is that
Hmm.
everything is getting more expensive, right? We're all suffering from this.
Oh, yeah. We're all victims of this world.
Exactly. But even then, like I use MCS, their prices are going up on shipping, on, back issues, on
Okay.
everything. So it's like, all right, man, maybe I should go down to just once a month shipping. Maybe is it really necessary? I get my books every 2 weeks. I like it, but
Sure.
do I need to get them every 2 weeks? Does it? I mean, this is all stuff. It's all food for thought. I'm going to be processing later, yet again at
Yeah.
3 a.m. when
Yeah.
I should be sleeping.
Of course. It's when
But
it gets
but
you.
yeah, exactly. So
No, dude. I
yeah.
when I started with DCBS, I was twice monthly,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, that one week where they wouldn't come. It's like I felt like I was missing nothing. I mean, it was early in the new 52. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't missing anything. Both companies were kind of crap in the bed at that point. So I wasn't missing anything, but I was missing the ritual. I mean, that's what addictions and habits can come down to when they're psychological and not like chemical. It's all about that ritual. It's all
Yeah.
about the what you do and the order you do it, and it's like Wednesdays are different right now because I'm not just tearing into all these books and then cursing at the end of Wednesday that I read everything, and I got to wait another 6 damn days to do it again.
Right.
So I went down to once a week, or I went up to once a week. And I mean, there'd be weeks where I'd get 2 books.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, I paid $4 to ship 2 books. You know, I settled on monthly. It sounds like I got to that tipping point where I wasn't reading everything,
Mm-hmm.
and things became more completionist based rather than entertainment based. And I realized I don't need that kind of fix anymore as often.
Right.
So I've been monthly. I've been monthly for probably over 10 years now, and I don't feel like I've missed anything because the only thing I could miss is going to the comic news sites, and I don't go to those places anyway because they suck.
Right.
And I don't listen to podcasts that spoil anything. I've never, because frankly, I don't care what people think about the current books.
What about me? You don't care
If
about
you
my
want to,
reviews of the
well,
current books?
well, you and I have a conversation. You and I are
Yes.
talking. We're having
Yes.
conversations here. We're
Yes.
not. You're not. You don't send me a text at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday saying, "First, read this.
10 out of 10.
This is what happened." Yeah, ten
Yes.
out of ten.
Yes. Yeah,
Where
I
it's
hear
like
you.
I'll listen to shows about old stuff because I mean that's stuff that we can all reflect on, and we know how it all worked out, and we can talk about where we were when, and I enjoy that kind of crap. So I wasn't really missing out on anything because I wasn't part of anything. I wasn't on Usenet anymore. I wasn't on the Alvaro boards anymore. So I didn't need like the hot to the minute sort of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in those 10 years, continuity's been rebooted 3 or 4 times anyway. So what does it even matter to be up to date? And the
Here,
past is prologue, you know,
yeah.
or
Here's
epilogue.
Epilogue, yeah, exactly. I don't know my logs. I'm very
Oh, it's either
confused by
one because it
logs.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pro
right.
comes for, epilogue after. Yeah.
I was gonna say, here's something that's a little trippy, right? Is of
Hmm.
course, we've replaced because it used to be you'd go to the comic book store
Yeah.
once a week, pick up your books, and socialize, whatever the case may be. That was all great, fine and dandy.
Sure.
Now it's become when your books are coming in. I know for me, I get excited. I know what's in there, and I no surprises. Yet
Hmm.
I find it to be something that gets my juices flowing. Um, Now today I've just taken 4 days off from work to celebrate myself and my birthday. Last day off. I've done all my chores, right? So usually, if I have a day off, I am doing domesticated duties. I am
Hmm.
dad. Hear me roar. Today I had none of that. So I've been really chomping at the bit to get this damn box, and UPS is like super duper late. So I've just been kind of like, I don't know, in agony waiting for this
Yeah.
stupid box of comics to show up, and it should really just be like, it'll get here when it gets here. I know it's out for delivery, not
Yep.
the end of the world. Yet here I am. Oh, UPS offers an option to see it on a live map. Yes, they do, but apparently you can only do that so many times a day because I exceeded my limit. So I'm a psychopath. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
My,
don't
my
know.
box came either the day before yesterday. It came in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew what was in. I knew most of what was in it, and it's. I mean, this is a sad state of affairs, but like there were like 40 something books in there probably, and I was excited to read like three of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, this is not good. And sadly, one of them I was excited to read was this, just so I could
Why?
tell you about it.
Oh,
Just so I could tell you about
jeez.
it.
Did you read it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Next
Not
week.
yet.
Next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, I'm looking over because I'm looking exactly what's in my shipment coming
Hmm.
today
Hmm.
at the books. So let me just read off a few. I'm not gonna, of
Sure.
course, usually I pull them out of the box. Hey, unboxing. This is all fun. And to be honest with you, some of these I do look forward to reviewing here on the Bada
Hmm.
Bin show. But Absolute Batman 9, Absolute Flash 4. I already canceled that. That's
Wow. I, I
lingering.
I I got that one before you did.
What the
Absolute Batman
Batman?
#9. Is
Yeah.
that the one Bane on the cover?
Yes.
Yeah, I got that one the other day.
So
How about that?
right on. So why don't you do the review? Huh? Get
I
on
have
that.
to read like I have to read like the four issues before that.
Get on that. Absolute Flash number 4. Like I said, I
Hmm.
canceled it. I'll probably like skim through it. Amazing
Sure.
Spider-Man number 6. Aquaman 6. I actually, and speaking about slighting Chris Yu earlier, he will get a kick out of this. I don't buy much back issue anymore from Tomorrow's, but
Yeah.
I did pre-order this one. It is the Crisis on Infinite Earths 40th anniversary special.
Hmm.
So I was hoping maybe they'd have some, insight from creators who were involved in the project from back in the day. So I will definitely be flipping through that.
Hmm.
Um, World's Finest number 40, Conan 21, Gunslinger number 7. That's another book, man. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna have to
Bubble.
trim the fat. Yeah, even though it's
Yeah.
only a 259 book with my discount. Exquisite Corpses number 2. I love number 1. Fire and Ice. I really enjoy that series. Now here's one I'm gonna bring up to you because we talked about this in private,
Hmm.
and that's Geiger. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've fallen behind on Geiger now by like 4
Hmm.
issues or something, to the point where it keeps floating to the bottom of my read pile. And because I get books every 2 weeks, a new
Just
stack
stays
comes
there.
in, and
Yeah.
then boom, boom. And it's like the creative team behind Geiger, what's not to love? Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
Hmm.
But even before I fell behind, I was finding the series to be kind of ho hum.
Sure.
Yet I'm like, it's an ongoing. I want to reward that. And then, God forbid, it gets good and I wasn't buying it. Or
Yeah.
how would I know if I wasn't
That's
reading it,
that's part of our quandary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I mean, that's why I'm still buying X-Men.
But you had
And
pointed
there's
out,
like 800 X-Men books.
right?
It's ridiculous.
You had told me, you're like, well, it's there if you do want to read it. So why not keep buying it? You know what I mean? If the decision.
Hmm.
So I really should catch up on Geiger, and then maybe ultimately decide if I do want to cut it or keep it.
Sure.
Just to get through this list again real quick. Phantom Road
Yeah.
number 13, Superman Unlimited 2, Ultimates. I decided to jump on the Ultimates with 13. because I've enjoyed Dennis Camp's writing on Absolute Martian Manhunter, Vanishing Point 2, Weapon X-Men 5, and then Wolverine number 10. Those are the new books I have coming in that shipment. I'd love to hear Ding Dong right now, but that'd be
That's
too
the issue that
amazing.
that's the issue that Weapon X-Men was canceled on.
Oh, yes. We've been gaslit. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, it was solicited initially as only a 5-issue run. Then out of the blue, from nowhere, a few months back, they said, Weapon X-Men canceled. 5 issues in. Series canceled. And, like, even the editor is like, hey, you know, if the book don't sell, what are you going to do? And it's like, I'm like, I thought it was only going to be 5 issues. And I reach out to you, and you're like, wasn't it only going to be 5 issues?
Yep.
So somebody's trying to, you know,
yeah, we found the
our
solicit.
brains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really weird. But anyway,
Yeah.
hopefully next week I'll have some reviews for the fine folks out there on those books. Biggity bam, biggity boom.
Cool.
Anyway, would you like to move on now? Since we've examined the pedigree books,
Mm-hmm.
we have looked them over, just like it's the Westminster Dog Show, for their quality and behavior.
Yeah,
And
it's a fine bitch.
Yes, and decided they're great if the price is right.
Yeah, and if they have any sort of emotional connection for you.
Yes, exactly. But speaking of emotional connection, you couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Who do we love, baby? We're not talking about Telly Savalas. No, sirree, Bob. We're talking about a friend of the show, the silent contributor, because he only sends in emails, and that is Mr. Chris Yu himself, who gives us wonderful email correspondence every single week without... He's like the mailman. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Karl Malone.
Raining, snowing, it doesn't... Thundering storms, he's still sending those emails like nobody's business. So what do you say we dive into that? You got that all queued up?
I do. I just had to pop us out of our ninja screen here, so we're floating again.
Okay, wonderful.
And now, so I can see us when I'm talking about it.
Okay.
We are going to start here, and this is regarding episode number 40. So we are in episode 41 right now. He says, "Hello, the BADABINSHOW. Glad to see you back after the week off. Sorry to hear about all your troubles this past week, but remember, when life gives you lemons, go read some comics." I should have taken that to heart. You know, I did actually... Oh, I did my book report on the Sam Hamm book. And and I sent you the picture of the defiled Sam Hamm book, right?
Yes, the yogurt on it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know what? Why don't we save that for next episode? That'd be a great...
Okay, and we could show the... Yeah.
That's like the chili dog story. We're not going to fully get into it. We're going to dangle that carrot about the chili dogs until, you know.
Yes.
We actually haven't brought up chili dogs in a long time.
Haven't.
It's been quite a few episodes. And
It
you know
has
what?
been.
I think it's ever since we've had these technical issues, we put a kibosh on the chili dogs because we don't want to get lost in the whole...
Could be.
Yeah.
In the artifacts.
Yes, the buffering, and then you lose the chili dog vapor.
Magic. Yeah.
Indeed.
So yeah, we'll talk about the Sam Hamm defilement next time.
Very nice. I like that. Very good. Okay. Yes.
There he blows. Okay, so we are going to Bada Babble right now.
Yes.
Shortly before watching the show this week, I was perusing the Intrigue Net and came across an article saying that the last 2 parts of Hush 2, which are Batman 162 and 163, were going to be 2 months late.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Hush 2 was announced how many months ago?
25 years ago.
At least.
Yeah, it feels that way.
How?
I don't know, man. I really don't know, but it is true. I saw an article as well that it was going to be a couple months late, the final 2 installments that are going to be included in the actual Batman run itself.
Yeah, because I think, Chris, you had left a comment on the last episode, and I think we thought it was just like a pithy, like, joke. Like, oh, it's going to be late. No, it's actually going to be late. A book that they were soliciting and advertising and putting little teasers into books months and months before it came out is being delayed.
Yep.
Okay.
The evil that men do, let me tell you.
Yeah, still waiting on part two. Daredevil the Target.
Yeah, right.
Now, this is where we get into some weird Scott Steiner math here. Now, this puts issue 163 as coming out on October 29th, 2025. But the new Matt Fraction Batman #1 is launching in September.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, man, hold
How's
on.
that gonna?
Hold on, because remember, listen, I am like an investigative, is that right? Journalist. I am
You're
a
a
digger.
podcast journalist.
Yeah, exactly. Take the word investigative out of it because it's hard to say. I am a digger, okay? And I rolled up my sleeves, jumped into the internet head first, and, just like a little mole, started doing some
That's where the
digging.
bump came from. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And, there are various articles online, and one of which was you had mentioned that it was going to go an additional 6 issues. You'd heard
As a
this from
miniseries.
somewhere. Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I found articles that said just that. But
Yeah.
when I was also looking at the same articles that Chris, you was referring to about the tardiness,
The delay. Yeah.
they were saying the final installments of Hush 2. So, listen, man, either way you slice it, the book sucks. They shouldn't, you know what? Make it late. I don't care. Good riddance.
But Chris, he cites issues 162 and 163.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe it's the end of Act 1.
That's probably what it is.
Because
from
what is
what I
this
can
one?
gather.
This is 160. So I guess we got one more issue coming out, and then the delay.
And then you wait. Yes.
Then we sit on it.
But the real question is, after that, will it in fact continue as a mini or prestige
Yeah.
format book or whatever? I think it's going to.
Of course it will, because it'll sell.
Right, but that, we call it like a traumatic experience for me, where it's almost like a novella or a soap opera. Like I had like amnesia about the whole thing because we started talking about Hush 2, and I feel like I get triggered, man. And
Yeah.
I could have swore I knew more news about it before I did, in fact, roll up the sleeves and start digging on Google. But either which way,
Sure.
who cares? It's so bad. It's trash. Sucks.
Well, we'll
Burn
see.
it with
We'll see.
fire.
The first 2 parts suck. This could be the best one. Could be.
Yeah, sure.
It's got a very striking cover.
Sure.
Got a very
but
striking cover.
My belief is
And it
this.
reuses that sideways motorcycle that Jim Lee always draws Batman on.
Hey, man,
So we get that again.
if it ain't broke, why fix it? But my
Right.
suspicion is that the Matt Fraction will start on time. The Jorge Jimenez will start on time. It's just that if Hush continues, it will be,
How's that going to affect our legacy numbering?
I don't care. I don't even, you know what? Wait, what are we talking about again? Wait, what? Anyway, yeah. You see how great it is to have that work for you in your favor?
There you go.
Yeah.
I wonder if this will be like when Spawn came out of order. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Yeah, like Spawn issue like 18 and 19 or 19 and 20 were delayed, but issue 21 came out. And then 19 and 20 came out like afterwards.
Hey.
So
yeah.
I wonder if like it'll be, legacy number whatever the hell
If
coming
that
out before
happens-
legacy number.
Hey, it happens with Batman. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. Keep rocking and rolling, bro.
So let's see here. Chris he says here he's scratching his head trying to figure out if there are going to be 2 volumes of a Batman comic on sale at the same time, or if they're going to delay the Fraction launch. I couldn't find any articles stating that the Fraction launch would be delayed, but I think that since DC is giving so much of a push for the new Batman #1, its release would have to be pretty much locked in place. But what does this mean for the 2 months that 162 and 163 were supposed to come out? Just no Batman comic on sale for 2 months in a row? They did that with the lead-in to Hush 2, didn't they? Like the Zosky run ended, and then I think we went a month with nothing, and
Was
then
it?
Hush 2 came out. I could have sworn.
Listen, man, there's so many Bat-adjacent titles. Like, so, okay.
Yeah, who'd even notice, right?
You still get Detective, right? So you get Tech, and then if there's, I don't know if the Dark Patterns book is still going to be going at that point in time. But there you
That's
go.
an utterly unnecessary book, isn't it?
Okay, but listen, man, you have
But
that,
yeah,
right?
it'll still be coming out.
So you got
All the
Bat
dark
books.
black labels, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Watchmen never being out of print. You know what I mean? Like you're
Hmm.
always going to have a Bat book being released at some point
Oh,
during the
because
month.
there'll be at least one a week. Yeah, there'll be at least one a
There
week.
you go. So you may not have Hush for 2 months, but great. What are we talking about again?
Funeral for a Friend.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good. You sound hungry. Was that you? Did you
it
just?
was
Oh
my
boy,
stomach. Yeah,
someone needs a tuna fish sandwich.
I might. I
Oh,
might.
baby.
Let's see here. On the subject here, I'm not hating the new Batman logo. It's reminiscent of the logo from the Adam West Batman show and the post-crisis Jason Todd issues that I've been reading lately. But having said that, if they're going to use a logo reminiscent of those older logos, why not just dust off one of those old logos and use it again? All the older logos look better than the modern ones anyway. Here. And I don't like the logo. I think it's better than a lot of the logos we're seeing now, but it's still not great. Yeah, because you showed that Secret Six, and that logo sucks.
Yeah.
All the Absolute logos suck. They're just garbage. I don't know why you would put such dead-looking logos
Drab.
on a shelf. Yeah,
Well, I
I
mean,
mean Marvel may be kind of in the toilet right now, but their logos always look good. You know, they'll always catch your eye. Where the stuff that DC's doing just looks like crap.
yeah. Here's that Secret Six one. I actually deleted the photo that I had on this computer of the new
Mm,
Batman logo. Otherwise, I'd flash that on the screen right now. But
mm,
um, it's funny that we bring this up because I'm looking at this, right? And yeah, it's
yeah,
there's not much to it, whatever.
it's garbage.
But
The,
then
the,
looking
the
back,
old one was great.
all right, right. But looking back now on this issue that disappointed me, the Peter Parker Spider-Man,
Hmm.
even that logo from 2002 is a little just
Not great.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. The corner box,
yeah.
fantastic. The little
Sure,
circular,
little circle.
yeah, image of Peter
Yeah.
Parker. I dig it,
Yeah, I
but
didn't that whole like choppy Spider-Man logo sucked. That era was not
mm,
good.
that's like from the
Yeah.
action figures, I think. So
Or
that's what
like
that plays off of.
maybe one of the animated series or something.
Yeah, correct. You are correct, sir.
Let's see here let's see here. Chris continues.
Mm.
He says, "The Summer of Superman has given me a new guilty pleasure book. Supergirl by Sophie Campbell and Tamara Bonvillain is a love letter to the Bronze Age Supergirl. As a fan of that era of Supergirl, I'm just loving all the Easter eggs and homages peppered throughout the series. I'm pretty sure I'm not the target audience of this book, and I know the two of you would absolutely hate it, but I'm loving every page of it. I may even give Crypto a chance now."
I don't know, man. I'm not a Supergirl fan. I do have random issues of Supergirl in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
I do have, for example, like the Peter David trade.
Yeah,
Um,
I have that whole run.
but I
Yeah.
can't overly say I'm a Supergirl fan. So you know what? It's great that Chris you enjoys it, and it harkens back to a time
Mm.
that he's extremely nostalgic about. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I've heard there's a lot of buzz around this Sophie Campbell, and
It's not great. I didn't like it.
okay, so you read some.
I read some of it. I couldn't
Okay,
get through the issue.
here I am trying to be all rays of sunshine and give a
Yeah,
positive
no.
spin on things, and you just had to go crap on our Wheaties, didn't you, Chris?
No, I'm actually saying that Chris, you was right.
Oh,
Yeah.
hello. Someone hold the
I did
phone.
not care for it. Yeah, I did
Okay.
not care for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I those Easter eggs to me, they feel unearned,
Hmm.
and they also feel like they're what do they call like the real cheap like member berries or whatever? Is that what people call it? Like the that I've heard that somewhere. Member berries. It's like, oh, remember this? Remember this?
Oh, no.
It
You
it
want to talk
it.
dingle? We might have a
No,
conversation.
we're not
Member?
talking dingle. Member, like remember.
Nah.
Um,
First time I've ever heard that in my life.
I've only heard it a handful of times. Maybe the person I was talking to made it up. I don't know. Um, but yeah, yeah, didn't care for it. And the
Okay.
art, I like everybody has like these weird buck teeth.
Okay.
It's not quite as bad as like the Squirrel Girl artist, but it was like I don't know. And I mean, she has a lot of talent. It's just not what I'm looking for.
Listen, man, in
Um,
all fairness and,
mm,
being equitable, I'll tell you what right now. I'll make a promise, an oath. Chris,
A
you,
vow.
if you want a vow, if you want to record a review of Supergirl, audio, whatever video, whatever you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
I will play it on the Bada
Oh,
Bin
hell yeah.
Show. So that way we can get a, countering POV on a
For
comic that
sure.
you're right. I really have no interest in reading, and Chris
Mm-hmm.
tried and didn't care for. So maybe we
Yeah.
can open some eyes
But
right here.
at on the same ticket here, like you
Mm,
mentioned, you're not big in Supergirl. I'm not either.
yeah,
The Peter David run is special because it wasn't Supergirl.
correct.
It was something altogether different. The only other times that I've actually actively sought out issues of Supergirl are
Hmm.
if there's a Teen Titans appearance, or if it had a triangle number.
Right.
The new Krypton stuff, Supergirl was swept into it and had triangle numbering, so I collected those. Otherwise, no interest. Very, very little interest.
I hear you, buddy.
Hmm.
I hear you.
Let's see here. Where are we? Oh, I mentioned my reading of the pre-crisis Jason Todd Batman stories, and let me tell you, there's some creepy, unintentional foreshadowing for the fate of Jason 2.0 in Death of the Family that contained in those early appearances of Jason 1.0. And of course, 1.0 pre-crisis, 2.0, the one who stole the tires off the Batmobile. In his first outing, after being handed the Robin mantle by Dick, Jason gets beaten badly by Crazy Quilt when Batman leaves him behind to keep him safe while Batman goes to investigate a warehouse alone. Batman holds the unconscious and limp Jason in his arms in the same pose from A Death in the Family with the dead Jason 2.0. Then a couple issues later, when Jason is on patrol without Batman, he ends up fighting two gangsters who try to beat him with crowbars. Luckily, Jason disarms one of them and then uses that crowbar to crowbar fence with the other gangster until they run away. It made me think if only Jason 2.0 had his own crowbar, he may have survived his encounter with the Joker. And those Jason, I feel like it's so weird how the Jason 1.0 stuff did foreshadow a lot, and it also paid homage to other stuff that came before. Like there's that one where Jason is shot, and it's Batman the cover is Batman holding him in like that Robin dies at dawn pose.
Hmm.
And it was always like an issue that made me. I always thought like, oh, that's going to be a very, very expensive issue, and it's not. I mean, it's pretty common. But I've been reading some of those as well, and it's interesting, fun stuff. I actually just got this in my shipment. I don't know if Chris, you knows this book exists. I'm thinking he probably does. It's a book called Robin and Batman: Jason Todd.
That's Lemire, right?
Yep, it's Lemire and Nguyen. The one who did like Little Gotham.
Yep.
I didn't realize that this is a prestige format. It has a spine and everything. Didn't realize that. I don't know if I ordered the rest of it. I haven't read it yet,
Uh-huh.
but I thought it was pretty neat. Because I do want to, I do want to read some more Jason stuff. After reading, the Under the Hood story from Winnick, I've really been inspired to go back and check out what's what. Because honestly, I don't know what the origin is right now. I don't know if it's a blending of 1.0 and 2.0, or if they've eschewed wholesale, whole cloth bits and pieces. So I don't know if this is going to be like a retelling of an origin or just an early adventure, but it might be cool to check out. So I will, and hopefully I'll report back. I'll be able to take some notes or something.
Right on.
Chris, you wraps up with wishing Dave the happiest of birthdays.
That was it? That's how he wraps up?
That's that.
Okay,
That's
I
that.
cued the screen to you thinking you're going to read a whole bunch more, and it's just happy birthday to me. So thank you,
can-
Chris U.
I can go to last week's episode and see if there were any more comments.
Oh, from Chris U, he's always dropping little nuggets.
It
Actually,
says we're
I
still
sent one
live.
to you. Oh, really? I don't know. I hit stop streaming, so if we're still going, then great. If not, whatever. Anyway, why don't you go look for those comments, and I'll investigate that right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are we here? Episode. Oh no! Now it says we stop. How weird is that?
What are you doing to me here? Look at me. I'm doing the work, man.
Yeah, you are. You are. Okay,
Crap.
here we are. Let's see here. Chris Yu says, just for the record, his Bada bird is named Bada Bird Yu.
Ah.
And his wife insisted that he get it when they found it at Target while looking for a new coffee pot. So very, very cool. He says that the logo on the Englehart Rogers Detective Comics looks so much better than the new Fraction Batman logo. I agree. I like that logo a lot. Do I? I think I just bought another detective with the same logo. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is that logo he's talking about.
Right.
Where it's like Batman's cape, you know. I like that a lot. Poor Bob Liefeld. He had his name misspelled in the guest book at Donna Troy's wedding in Tales of the Titans 50. And in that article about Young Blood. Even that guy from the comic shop can't pronounce his name right. Rob Liefeld, man. Yeah, and I guess, I don't know if we talked about this, but I think Liefeld was supposed to actually appear at Donna Troy's wedding, but he couldn't, he missed the deadline to send in his photo. Because George Perez was going to draw him in. Because he was part of like that, the Titans Talk fan group. So that could have been an interesting thing if he'd gotten it in on time. And the last one here is the one that we were talking about. He says, is it true that the last 2 issues of Hush 2 are going to be late because Batman and Hush have gone back to work on Chris's pool? And yes, I think that is why. It's got to be why.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the pool actually, I don't know if I've told you this yet, the hole in the ground passed. Because our hole in the ground actually failed the first time.
Mm-hmm.
When the city came out to take a look at it. The city has their fingers in everything. They got to look at the thing twice before they can actually say it's a pool. So they came out, I guess, Tuesday and failed us because some sort of like water pressure thing wasn't up to code. All it took was our pool project manager coming out and turning a dial a little bit, and that fixed it. So
okay. Yeah.
So they came out yesterday and we got the thumbs up.
Do they charge you for that?
God, if I don't know.
Probably, because I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, they run into that situation probably all the time, and they know all it takes is like a little turn of a knob.
Oh yeah, they ain't gonna touch
like,
nothing.
Hey, if we tell them that, then we don't get to come out tomorrow and
there you go.
You know, make some extra scratch. You know.
Yeah, and it's 111 degrees. They want us to come back as quick as possible.
Well, that's good. Glad the project is back rocking and rolling. It's just, you know, the only problem with your project is the health of your pooch, your dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All the racket and the noise. So it's like a tough situation. You want this freaking pool done, but at the same time, you want your dog to be sane. So what is one to do except for maybe drop the dog off at a monastery, let it live amongst the monks for the next couple weeks or however long.
Yeah.
You know, let it ring a few gongs and then bring it back home.
That might be the next course of action. And we have a surprise new pet. A hummingbird has taken up a residency in our fiddle fig tree that I've been trying to nurse back to health for like a year and a half now, and it finally took, and it finally is growing leaves again. This was this was a tree that came in our other house when we moved in because we bought it with all the staging stuff stayed, and some of the staging stuff was alive. It was plants, trees, and I had it in my my room where I recorded shows. So every day I would get to talk to this plant, which is probably why it started to die. Now we have it on the back patio, and I've been working on it, put new soil on it. You saw the little Velcro strips I put up there to keep it standing. Correct. Because it had a mean lean to it. And now that it's taken root and it's actually growing, a hummingbird decided to build a nest in it. And I actually watched the thing build the nest. It came back with like little bits of fuzz for an entire day. Put together a nest, and then it laid an egg in it.
Did you sit there with your coffee as you watch this whole process and just go, circle of life?
It took days for it to build this tiny thing, to build this tiny nest.
Yeah.
It was insane, dude.
Hey, man.
Crazy.
It takes forever to build a pool.
They know.
Why not forever to make a nest? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So it has its egg in there, and it's been sitting on this egg for a few days now. I don't know how long the gestation period of a hummingbird baby is, but guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put some padding on the ground so it doesn't fall out. I'll go against Darwin.
I was gonna say that's a very noble effort to protect this egg at all costs. You know what I mean? But everybody's
Screw
gonna
you,
have
Darwin.
they all gonna have their hobbies, right? Everybody needs something to do. Why not?
Mhm.
You know. So yeah. All right. Well, cool. Good luck to the little egg.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what you should probably do is bring Bada Bird out there.
Yeah.
Set him up.
Protector.
Yeah, exactly. Set him up right next to the nest, and might spur on a love connection for all we know between
Yeah.
Bada Bird and the hummingbird. They both have
Yeah.
Bird as a last name.
Bada
Maybe
Bird's they might be related.
whoa. And we want to slow the roll on
Uh-oh.
the love affair, but yeah,
Yeah.
you know, the point remains. Maybe they can become friends. We'll say that, just pals.
There you go.
But Chris, I got to say, your stomach has been grumbling for quite a while now, so I believe you
This
need
is
to go
true.
consume some food before you look at the hummingbird egg and start thinking that looks pretty gosh darn good to me. I am gonna review this video and post it on YouTube. And then next week, I think what we're gonna do is, as we plan, we'll record something and then post it to kind of prevent any hiccups or any issues going forward until we can figure this damn thing out. But if anybody out there does have any suggestions, feel free to reach out. BadaBinShow@gmail.com.
Might have to go with the duck.
I don't know. I don't like the duck.
I don't either.
We're talking too much about these friggin' fowls, man.
Yeah, they're taking over.
I don't know. I'm not
They're
fully
taking
feeling it. But yeah. They're taking over, and we're getting the hell out of here. What do you say? And we start fresh.
Get while the getting's good.
Exactly, all of that good stuff. So, yeah, last thing I got to say is thank you for everybody for putting up with us. I know it's been a rough road the last few weeks, but you keep tuning in, and I see people liking the video, everything else. It means a whole ton. So thank you, virtual hugs for all of you. I appreciate it. And Chris, I'm about to cue the screen to exit. So what do you want to say before I cut you off?
We say thank you and sorry.
Okay. That works.
See you next time.
Yes, but we will produce videos. It'll be there. So what are you apologizing for? Our beautiful mugs are still in the internet, in the ether. Come on now. Calm down. Don't go apologizing. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.